This might be kind of cringy to admit, but I've always been obsessed with being an it girl. You know, that girl who's just effortlessly cool, chic, and lovable, like the Kelly Kapowski, the 90s Gwyneth, the Mary from There's Something About Mary. Quite frankly, Cameron Diaz in literally anything she's ever in. The Ashley from Pretty Little Liars before she was killed. Wait, was that her name? I think it was Ashley. Whatever, the one who's like killed in the beginning. You know what I'm talking about? I've always been obsessed with being that type of girl, and I feel like I've never quite achieved it, but I've done a lot of research on how I can fully embody that girl this year, and I'm going to share with you the 5 elements of being an it girl that I want to practice this year. Okay, so we're going to start with kind of like the most low-hanging fruit there is, and that's beauty. Obviously, like the girls in all these movies, etc., are all hot. And I think that we all know how to get hot for like an event, right? Like I know how to, well, I don't really know how to put on makeup, but I kind of know a little bit, right? I know if I pull out an eyelash curler, I'm going to look a little bit prettier. I know a little bit about how to dress and stuff like that. But what I really, really want to focus on this year is the downtime, how I put myself together just like day to day when I want to be comfy and cozy, when I'm not really doing anything, when I'm just lounging at home, when I'm taking Sam out for a walk, things like that. I want to really strive to still be put together for those occasions, because I think that's really what's going to make me feel hotter, rather than like, oh, this eyeliner trick for when I go to a big function. Like I don't wear makeup day to day, but that doesn't mean that I can't do my skincare every single day so I still feel good. I can still gua sha, I can still do all those things. And same thing, like I'm not gonna wear a fucking skirt set or like a suit when I'm just lounging around the house watching TV. But what I can do is wear like a really comfy silky pant with a really comfy kind of matching top. You know what I mean? And someone who I think masters this really, really well, who I would say is very much an it girl, is Sif Hyder. She's the founder of Array, the bloat pills, like such a good brand. Such a good company. I'm actually about to order a ton of shit from them literally when I finish recording this today. But she's someone who threw out all of her sweats. And when she wants to just wear loungewear, she wears like a silk set, which, listen, I don't think you have to throw out your sweats, but there's a difference between the old ratty set of sweats from college that have holes in them and you feel like shit in, versus a really nice elevated matching sweat set styled a little bit differently. Maybe you throw on some jewelry still. Like one thing for me is I always feel more put together when I have my hair back rather than like down and crazy when it's like not looking good. You know what I mean? That's such an easy thing. I'm not saying I have to like whip out the blow dryer and straighten my hair every day, but I can at least pull it into a bun when I kind of feel blah. Things like that. I just want to really put more effort into my day-to-day baseline appearance rather than trying to make the range bigger. Like the way I used to live was I either, put on like heaps and heaps and heaps of mascara and an outfit that I thought was cute if I was going out, and the rest of the time I felt like a literal ogre. And I actually think the past few years I've closed that gap a lot. Well, one thing I really want to work on this year is just raising the floor, if that makes sense. So the second element, by the way, again, like I said last week in last week's episode, I'm not going to go too deep into any of these things, but if you want any of these things to be its own, by the way, sorry, I was just so distracted because Sam was trying to pass by and I was just making sure she wasn't going to get her foot tangled in anything and fall or, bring our whole setup down, or quite frankly, probably both. And she actually mastered it, little baby genius. But yeah, if you want a full episode on any of these 5 things, I'm more than happy to do that. The second element, like after the first one, I think we're going to get a lot deeper. The second element, I think, of like it girl energy, that like je ne sais quoi, is confidence. Again, a kind of an obvious one. And like I said last week, I think that people define confidence differently. For me, it's being secure, it's being self-assured, but I think that there's a way that you can really radiate confidence. And there's this girl who goes to my solid core studio who perfectly embodies it. I'm not going to say her real name, so I'll just call her, I nearly said her actual real name. Let's just call her Ashley. Ashley is solid core's it girl. Like, she is fucking radiant. And it's not that she's like really, really pretty or has the perfect body. She does have both, but that's not what makes her radiant. I was actually watching her one day, and one of the several, she kind of does everything on this list, but one of them that I think she really embodies is the way that she walks. It's like she glides. It's like angelic kind of. It's so like, I've seen her be late to solid core before, and she never seemed like flustered or rushed the way I do when I'm late to solid core with like snot dripping all over me. No, she glides in. She might walk faster, but she glides in. And I think that there's truly one hack to really coming off as radiantly confident, and that's having really good posture and walking in a non-bouncy kind of way. And I think that one way that we can all practice this is right now, whatever you're doing right this second, just stop, lift your shoulders up towards your ears, press them all the way back, like literally as far back as you can. You should feel some of your muscles light up, and then bring them all the way down, as far down as you can. So they should be down and back. And I do think it helps to bring them forward first and make a nice big circle, down and back, down and back, down and back with the shoulders. Constantly remind yourself down and back, chin up. We're not looking at our phones when we're walking. We're holding our chin up. Our presence is a gift. That's the energy we're going to embody this year. That's how we're going to walk around. One thing I've heard one person say before is every building that he walks into, in his mind, he walks in like as though he's about to, like he's contemplating buying the building. And I think that's a really interesting one, because think about it. If you're walking in to potentially buy this building, you would be really confident. Like, it would be kind of like you own the place, but you also wouldn't be cocky. Like, someone with enough money to buy the building doesn't need to be pretentious or, what's the word I'm looking for? Don't get mad at me. English is my third language, as a reminder. It's braggadocious. Braggadocious. Is that a word? Let's look it up. Because that really sounds like something I'm making up, actually, the more I say it. Okay, new tab. Oh my God, it's a word. It's a word. It's a word. It means boastful or arrogant. Yes, that's exactly the word I was looking for. Wait, I feel like that so rarely happens. In Farsi, it's even worse. Like, one time, this was many years ago, I think I was in high school, I said to my mom in Farsi, I'm only going to say one word in Farsi. I go, yeah, I'm afraid of half a fiat. And she's like, what the fuck is half a fiat? And I was like, half a fiat, and she goes, that's not a word in our language. Did you just make it up? And the actual word I was looking for was irtifa. Doesn't sound even remotely like half a fiat. And I was like, half a fiat works. You know what I meant. And she did know what I meant. I meant heights. But I actually wonder if you were able to figure. I think half a fiat sounds like heights. Okay, what can I say? It embodies the energy of height. I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, as someone who, I don't remember where I was going with this, but as someone who's really short, you might not realize this just from watching me. I'm actually really fucking short. I'm 5 foot. And when I say 5 foot, I mean like a quarter of an inch more than 5 foot. You know what I mean? Like, I actually for a long time thought I was 4'11", and that I was just lying about being 5 foot. But then a couple years ago, I had the doctor actually measure me, and she goes, guess what? Good news. You're officially over 5 feet. So very exciting day in my life, because I realized I'm not like a liar, big fat liar, But yeah, as someone who is short, it's so easy to just feel very insignificant, to feel like kind of like you don't matter, especially as a short person living in New York City filled with fucking beautiful ass models. Like when I talk about Solid Core, my like Solid Core is like an IMG model scouting agency. I was telling my mom, I was like, I'm one of like the fattest and ugliest people at Solid Core. Also, I don't like to use the F word. I think it's really rude, but sometimes I will say it to make a point to be funny. You know what I mean? Obviously, whatever. I think we can all agree, like I'm not big or overweight, but the Solid Core studio I go to is literally like Ford models. Like I don't know what is going on in there. I think there are a lot of literal models who go there, but it's so easy to feel insignificant when you're not that, you know what I mean? But I think we can all carry ourselves like we are that. And I think if we carry ourselves like we are that, then we start feeling like we are that. And then we start acting like we are that. And I actually think kindness is a big part of that. Like I think that confidence has this tinge of arrogance to a lot of people, but true confidence is never arrogant. You know what I mean? Okay, let's just move on. The third element of it girl energy is charisma. When I say charisma, this is what I think really makes someone charismatic. It's when they're really, really, really present in a conversation with you. You know, when I was in college, or actually no, when I was in high school, I had a friend who was in college, and this friend was ultra liberal, like as liberal as it gets. But because of something he was involved in college, he met George Bush, who was president at the time. And, you know, not to age myself. And he said that George Bush was unbelievably charismatic. And specifically what he said about him is when you're in a room talking to him, it's like no one else exists. Like he's so locked into the conversation with you. It makes you feel so special. Like he's genuinely such a likable person. And I've heard so many people say that. Like everyone talks about Bill Clinton being charismatic, and like I'm sure he is. But I've heard from so many people who've met George Bush personally, and I'm talking Junior George Bush, George W. Bush, especially people who don't like him, don't support his policies, did not enjoy his presidency one bit, did not vote for him. All of them will say he's so charismatic in person, and all of them give the same exact description. It's that when you're in a room with him, he's so locked into you. He's so present. He asks questions. He listens. He makes eye contact. He nods. And I think we can all stand to have that. Like, have you ever been to a party and you're talking to someone and they're kind of like glancing around the party, and it just makes you feel so icky? Also, I do this too, and I can tell you I'm genuinely not scanning the room to find someone cooler to talk to. It's because I get distracted because I probably have ADHD. You know, like I probably am a little bit neurodivergent and I just like can't stay present with a conversation that much. But going back to last week's episode on space, I think that's something that's going to tremendously help me with that. But anyway, so the things that I wrote down for this are to be present, to listen, and to repeat back things that people say, and ask them really like interesting, insightful questions that show that you've been listening. Even I think you can start practicing this immediately with whoever you interact with on the day-to-day. If it's like you talk to your mom every day on the phone, I should practice this, right? My mom will complain about something, and instead of just being like, oh yeah, that's cool, whatever, I could then respond and be like, yeah, and why did that bother you? Like, or that sounds so frustrating. I totally hear what you're, so like, am I correct in interpreting that like when the doctor said this, it bothered you because of X? That's an invitation for more conversation. And I know that, listen, as an incredibly self-involved person who loves to fucking talk, one of the hardest things for me is conversation, because literally all I want to do is talk. And I often have not even a remote amount of interest in what the other person has to say. Is that clinical narcissism? I don't know. Maybe, probably. Like, do I have narcissistic personality disorder? Do you think it's possible that I do? I sometimes think I exhibit some of the traits, and that one really scares me because I believe there's no cure for narcissism. Like, I think if you're narcissistic, like you're just narcissistic and it is what it is. Anyway, so that does kind of freak me out. Anyway. But I think that we could all, even if you have to, like, even if it's, think of it like running. It might not feel great in the moment, but if you just forced yourself to do it, it's going to feel really fucking good afterwards because you're going to make someone else feel really, really, really special. You know, a few years ago, Ozzy's friend, let's call him Bob. Bob, could I have picked a less attractive name? Like, why does it feel like Ozzy's friend is like a 65-year-old accountant who has 3 kids and a receding hairline? None of those things. Just Bob's actually quite hot. Bob started dating this girl. They had just kind of been seeing each other. It had been like maybe a few months or something. Let's call her Delilah. So whatever, actually Delilah really suits her. She should look into changing her name. No, her real name's really pretty. So Delilah and Bob. Also, Delilah would never date Bob. You know what I mean? Anyway, so Delilah and Bob came over for dinner, and I had so much fun because Delilah is a very generous conversationalist. Delilah asked me so many fucking questions, and anything I would ask, I would say she would ask a follow-up question. Anything I asked her, she would turn around and ask me right back or ask some kind of other question. Like, she was so giving. She let me talk so much, and I remember really enjoying myself, but I woke up the next day with such a pit in my stomach because I was like, I had a lot of fun, but at what cost? You know, it's kind of like if you drink too much, like you might have fun in the moment, but you're going to feel like shit the next day versus if you go for a run, like, yeah, maybe you were going to kind of feel like shit, but it's going to feel so good afterwards when you see that you've really given someone the opportunity to speak and share with you and really made them feel seen in that kind of way. So that's something that I really, really, really want to work on implementing this year. And I've said it a lot before, but it's really hard to maintain the practice. Like if you're not just constantly doing it, you fall, or I won't say you, when I'm not constantly doing it, I fall out of the habit. This is really something I'd like to start implementing today. By the way, Delilah is always like that. I've now known her for years. Every time I see her, she just makes me feel special. And the way that she makes me feel special is by being really present. When I talk to her, it's like no one else exists. And that's what makes Delilah an it girl. Like, she's one of the fucking coolest people I know. And it isn't because, like, yeah, she's really pretty, which she is. And yeah, she's really talented, which she is. And yeah, she has all these other amazing things going for her, which she does. But what really gives her that je ne sais quoi, that it girl energy, is how present she is with you, how charismatic she is, like how just it makes you feel special. Okay, let's go to our fourth one. This is a really fun one, actually, and it's contrast. So let me explain what I mean by that. I am someone who, when I look back throughout my life, by the way, I am someone who's very much not an it girl. So every example I use from myself is like the counter example of how to be an it girl. You know, it's like how to very much not be an it girl is everything I embody, but I'm going to work towards doing all these things because guess what? Our personalities aren't fixed. Our personalities are really just a series of choices that we make. So when we make different choices, we can have different personalities. Anyway, so throughout my life, like I've gone through so many different like phases and kind of identities, if you will. But one thing I think I've always done wrong is that I almost LARP as these various identities. So for example, in high school, I wanted to be cool. The strive to be cool and popular in high school didn't last very long because pretty early on, I realized, yeah, this is not going to happen for you. And it didn't. But so I wanted to have an identity of like a cool, popular kid. So I'd watch like stupid 90s high school movies and be like, okay, like I should have these interests and do these extracurricular activities and, you know, do like be like this so I can be cool and popular or whatever. Or a far more tangible example is when I first really got into big time, got into spirituality and wellness and stuff like that. It's like I became a caricature of someone who was into spirituality and wellness. And I would do like moon circles, new moon circles, full moon circles, new moon rituals, full moon rituals. I had a bunch of fucking crystals. I would burn incense all the time. I never drank. Like I said, I wasn't interested in clothes. I started buying a lot of colorful robes and stuff because I was so it's like I wanted to play this character of someone who's into wellness and spirituality, and a lot of those things really weren't authentic to me. Actually, towards the end of last year, I got rid of all my crystals because I realized I don't really they're pretty, but it doesn't really fit my aesthetic. Or I love clothes, or I actually genuinely am happiest in my life when I have more of a social circle, and once in a while go out and have a drink and have a little more balance around these things. Even with wellness, I don't have to be this perfect wellness girl, this caricature of a wellness girl. I think it's far more interesting when people have a little bit of contrast in their personalities. And I think a really good example of this is Sierra Miller on Summer House. So if you're not familiar with Summer House, Sierra Miller is one of the people who's on it. It's a reality show, and she's absolutely stunning. I think she's a Victoria's Secret angel now. She's this tall, beautiful, just out of this world beautiful model who's funny and cute and cool and whatever. But one thing I fucking love about her is every time they have a costume party, she never wears a hot or a sexy costume. She'll go all out in the goofiest kind of costume and makes it really funny, and it's often really, really ugly. And that's so contrasting with the type of person you would think she'd wear the cute little sexy whatever kind of costume, but that's not what she does. Another good example, when I first went to law school, there was this girl, let's call her Michelle. So Michelle, you could tell, had always been popular. She was definitely popular in high school. She was popular in college, and she was popular in law school. She was really, really pretty. She was funny. She was all these things. But she also had all of these kind of very dorky interests. She was really into Star Wars and Indiana Jones and Dungeons and Dragons and sci-fi and just a lot of these things that seemed to really clash with that hot, cool girl personality, but that made her 20,000 times hotter and cooler, It's just having that contrast and layer in your personality makes it so much more interesting. But with this, I think that there's a real danger of it being inauthentic and kind of coming off with N-log energy. When I say N-log, I mean not other girls energy. It's I'm not other, there was this girl in my high school who was literally, I think she wrote in her yearbook, yeah, I'm not other girls. I go hunting with my dad. Isn't that so cool? And it just kind of gave a little bit off-putting and I'm sure she actually did go hunting with her dad, and she probably was into it, which cool flex. He liked to murder for a hobby. Great Ted Bundy, or I should say Tiffany Bundy. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with another T name. Tina Bundy. That's not cool. But it's just putting on this fake interest, especially if it's a traditionally masculine interest, because you think it's gonna give you layers and make you quirky, cute, cool, isn't cool. But when it's something that's really authentic to you, and instead of stifling it because it doesn't fit in with your current persona, instead really embodying it and being proud of it and not having shame around it, even if it doesn't make you fit in. In college, there was this guy who was on the football team who took dance classes. He just liked dance. That's fucking cool. That's fucking cool. But if he took dance classes because he thought it would help him pick up chicks, infinitely less cool. You know what I mean? It that doesn't give it girl. Whereas having these contrasting layers, it's an outfit, right? a black sweater, chic, elegant, but a black sweater where you can get a hint of a white t-shirt popping out of the collar and at the hem, infinitely chicer and cooler. Just that tiny bit of contrast, that tiny bit of layering is going to elevate everything. And the last element of having that like it girl energy, the je ne sais quoi, I think is warmth. I think that when you're more bubbly and happy and just kind of like sunshine in human form, that's ultimate it girl energy. And I think that this really runs counter to a lot of the it girls that maybe we grew up with. Like I grew up, in the 90s watching 90s high school movies, and often like the cool girl in school was the girl who was just like a bitch to everyone and mean and rude. And even, okay, I love Gossip Girl, right? And I always kind of idolize Blair Waldorf because my best friend at the time told me that I should. Like literally, that's the reason. But like Blair Waldorf doesn't have a je ne sais quoi. Like, yeah, like she's funny and she's this and she's that, but it's like not cute to be mean to people. It's not cute to be bullies to people. But you know what is really fucking cool? It's when you're really warm. And that doesn't mean that you're necessarily nice to everyone, but think about it like this. Like no one wants to be around someone who's grumpy and moody all the time. Someone you have to like walk on eggshells around. And quite frankly, that's really unfortunate for me because I am moody and grumpy all the time, and people do walk on eggshells around me because of said grumpiness and moodiness. But guess what? I'm not a fucking it girl, right? So if I want to be, I'm really gonna have to work on those traits. And that doesn't mean like self-loathing and hating myself, whatever. I can accept myself as I am and love myself as I am while striving towards being better on these elements. I think someone who really, really, really embodies this, who I think is like a kind of as it girl as it gets, is Aisha from Below Deck. So if you're not familiar, Below Deck is a reality show on Bravo. There's a bunch of different franchises on it. Aisha was first on many, many years ago as a stew on Below Deck Med. And then she came back a couple seasons later as a stew on Below Deck Med. And then she was chief stew on Below Deck Down Under for a couple of seasons. And then she got moved back to the Med as a chief stew. And she is like truly as it girl as it gets. Like she's someone who the reason they kept bringing her back, when it's a show where if you're just a stew or a deckhand, you very rarely come back. If anything, you might come back once. You're really not going to come back over and over and over again. But she's come back over and over again. And they've like really reshifted the shows to have her be this chief stew on it, because she has so much it girl energy, because she's so universally loved. Like, I don't think there's a single person who watches that show who doesn't like her. Like, she is so magnetic. She is so like, she's so likable. And I think one of the big reasons why is because she's so warm. She's so bubbly. Like, she's just like, it really, like when you're around her, which I obviously haven't been in real life, but even when you watch the show, like in her confessionals, it feels like the sun is shining on you. And that's because she has that warmth to her. Like no one wants a cold, icy bitch. Like that's not fun. And again, that doesn't work well for me at all. Like if people loved cold, icy bitches, I'd be thriving. But I'm not. Because it's not likable. It's not it girl energy. Okay, so that's it. Like I said, if you want a full episode on any of these 5, please do let me know in the comments or whatever. Like I will see them, I will read them. We can totally do that. And on Thursday, check out Blush Kitchen. So on the theme of je ne sais quoi and it girl energy, what's more it girl than a French girl? And Thursday's recipes are all French inspired recipes, and it's like so chic and so it girl. Like you're gonna love it. I'm so excited. Yeah, we'll chat then. Love you. Bye.